Hey everybody. I've been getting a few emails and there seems to be some confusion on like what is a rhetorical analysis paper. Um, Sorry, my cat is completely distracting me back there because her eyes are so beautiful, right? Anyway, so what is a rhetorical analysis paper? And so I figured I'd put something out here just to kind of give you a little bit more context. I'll try and type up what we're talking about so that you have something to, refer back to all the time. You don't have to listen to me meander on about it. But I think basically let's start first with what is rhetoric. And rhetoric is the art of persuasion. So when you engage in rhetoric, you're using language that persuades your audience to see things your way. And we saw that with all of the essays that we read this past week, that there was in some form or another some kind of engagement with like trying to persuade you to think a certain way about what they were talking about. So in your rhetorical analysis essay, you're going to be looking at the nonfiction passages that we did. And by all means, it will probably, I'm getting this right now, but it's probably going to be better for everybody if you just pick one essay and kind of dive into that one. So whichever one you like the most, you feel like you understood the best, would be the one I would suggest to go with. So typically, anytime you're doing any kind of rhetorical analysis, you're going to be looking at an article, speech, an excerpt from a non-fiction text. So it could be, a book of essays. Obviously, we looked at the Prince, right? Even Audre Lorde's actually comes from a book. It's Sister Outsider. So, they come from all over. But you'll kind of be identifying how the author makes rhetorical choices to develop their argument. They want to achieve a purpose or convey a specific message. So rhetorical analysis is a form of criticism, and it kind of evaluates a text or speech or public statement, and it helps to understand how the author or speaker is attempting to persuade their audience. Rhetorical analysis can be used to like understand texts better. So any of these texts that we were talking about, political speeches, it's through other people's rhetorical analysis. So let's say we did not have a handle on the master's tools. And so we read rhetorical analysis from other scholars, and they convey different ideas about what Audre Lorde is saying. And so we are able to so what I'm looking for is you should be able to say, this is why this rhetorical choice was made. And this is how they made it. This is how they built their argument, XYZ. It's very, very critical or crucial. And I want to point this out because I know this was exactly what we did in the discussion question, which is great because I feel like discussions are open, free reign. We can talk about whatever, do whatever. In your rhetorical analysis, it's crucial to avoid making a value judgment about the author or their argument. The goal is to understand how they're trying to persuade, not necessarily whether you agree with them or not, right? So it's just a rhetorical choice is something that a writer does in their writing to make their argument. And sometimes they do this by repeating. So here's something that you might, if you decided, oh, I really want to work on Jonathan Swift. So you're going to say, well, has he been repeating certain words? Is there a phrase that he uses repetitively? And in that way, he's trying to ingrain this idea in our heads. So they're using their words in a meaningful way. When you talk about these rhetorical choices, you're definitely going to want to use verbs. So like, for example, instead of saying the author uses juxtaposition, you would say the author juxtaposes. Make sure anything that you are writing is not flighty. And what I mean by that is that we're all here as scholars. So we need to find our argument and be declarative about it, be strong about it. Don't say, well, I think, or I feel, or I believe. Believe is the worst, in my opinion. you know, especially when you're at a secular university or, you know, community college or anything like that. Nobody really cares what you believe. They want to know what you know. So go full on in what do we know? And what we know is the work. So use the work. You need to have direct quotes. So that's another thing. So basically, okay, like even if we're just looking at the formation of an essay, we know we have our introduction, our body paragraphs, our conclusion. This essay, I would say, should be roughly, I believe that we have it at like 3 to 4 pages, possibly 5 to 6. And so and it's double spaced. Everything for me is going to be double spaced, Times New Roman out of 12. So it's not like single spaced 5 million pages. It's really not that long of pages. It might just feel like that because we are in such an accelerated course. But so you're gonna have your body paragraphs of your essay. You need to have both like evidence and commentary. So use a quote that is proving your point, like that is contributing to your argument, but don't just drop a quote in. So you're going to use a quote and then you're going to comment on why this author used this rhetoric and how you are using that specific rhetoric to you know, tie it back to your thesis. You can kind of, there's 2 different ways that you can provide these quotes. You can direct quote, which I think is good. And you can also paraphrase. Either way, like if you're Googling things, if you're looking things up to help your argument, I'm not, you know, here to say, oh, I just want your straight words. That's not what we do. We are researching. That is okay. But we do have a works cited. And if you're paraphrasing somebody else's work, you have to give them credit. It is completely plagiarism if you do not give them credit, right? So just make sure we're being very aware of that. Kind of essentially what I'm saying in your rhetorical analysis, it's important to have claims, support those claims. So a claim is the main argument being made, right? Support is the reasoning or the evidence used to back up that claim. So, like I said, if you're going to use a quote, if you're going to paraphrase somebody, that's great. Now you need to say why you're using this. Why is this important to your argument? And that's kind of warrants, those are the assumptions that connect a claim and kind of support it. Not kind of, they do support it. Evidence is a really important component of all of your body paragraphs. So you want to have your evidence, you want to have your commentary after your evidence, and it's really what makes up any essay that you're going to be writing. Your commentary explains the significance. And like I said, it just helps prove your thesis. So if it doesn't relate back to your argument, it's probably fluff, you know, so we don't really need that. When you are planning your commentary, you're going to want to consider a couple things. First, you want to think about why the writer made that choice for that audience on that occasion. So anytime we're looking at anything, we want to know who is the audience, and the audience does not have to be singular. Second, consider the structure. Why did the author make the choice at that particular point in the passage, right? Lastly, I just kind of want you to remember that the focus of a rhetorical analysis will vary depending on the text that's being examined, but generally it involves understanding the context of the argument, identifying the key concepts, and analyzing how the author uses the rhetoric to persuade their audience. And when I say this, what I mean is if you were like, Jonathan Swift was not, like, he was crude and horrifying and all these things. These are all true. However, if you didn't get the satire that he was using, the irony that he was using, that's probably not your essay. Like, go with something that when you read it, you were like, oh, I know exactly where this is going. And even if you read beyond the essay and you did a little digging, like why was this person saying this, or where were they coming up with this? that might be your essay if what you thought originally was proven after you Googled the essay, right? So just go with one that you are confident with, go with something that we feel like we can make an argument on why and how they used the words that they used. If you have any questions, like I said, always feel free to email me, but also I'm going to, like I said, I'll type something up about this and I'll put it in. I'll probably put it in the announcements with this video. So give me some time, hopefully like a half an hour, 45 minutes after I post this, I'll be able to get that to you all. I know I have office hours with a few people this week. I look forward to seeing you. If you are struggling coming up with an idea or anything, like feel free to bounce. I am here to bounce ideas off of me. Use your peers. They are also here to bounce ideas off of. That's what the discussion board questions are for. So if you need anything else, just let me know. All right.